So today we're in the kitchen. We want to talk about nutrition and how much of a key component of your success it is. I say to a lot of my clients, your success happens in the kitchen and not in the gym. That's very true because I mentioned yesterday that 70% plus of your journey is going to take place in the kitchen and what you eat. So it's important that before we get stuck into the exercises that we start to talk about the key components for your success in the kitchen. First thing we need to talk about is your 6 meals a day. So we're going to divide your current day into 6 meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 3 snacks. Now, if you think, gosh, how could I possibly eat 6 times a day? You're going to have to change probably the way that you're currently eating. So most people eat fewer meals but larger sizes. So what we want to do is shrink your meals a little bit but increase the number of times that you're eating. Why? Because it increases your metabolic rate. Why is that important? Because while you sleep, your metabolic rate is that engine inside you that keeps you functioning. Now, what we want to do is have that charging as quickly as possible so it's burning calories. By changing from say 2, 3 or even 4 times a day that you're eating to 6 will change that. Now, there's a couple of key things that we need to think about here. Basically, you need to be eating, you would eat the same way that you would feed a baby. So every 2.5 to 3 hours, you need to be eating. And it all starts from breakfast, okay? So I'll walk you through a typical day for perhaps someone like me. Breakfast might be at 6:30. Morning tea, 9:30. Lunch, about 12:30. 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Your mid-afternoon snack is going to be about 3:30. Your evening meal about 6:30, and then an evening snack as late as 9:30 or even a little bit later. Now, some people might say, oh, well, you can't eat past 7 o'clock or whatever it is. That's not really true. I'll often eat as late as 9:30 or even later. The point is that it comes down to the total calories you've consumed for the day. So if you've eating to your meal plan, then eating that extra snack at that 9:30 is still going to be okay. And what that does is you've got something in your stomach that your body then says, oh, I've got to churn through this to burn it, so it keeps your metabolic rate firing. Now, the key comes down to what it is that you're actually eating. Now, what we need to do is work out, everybody has a number that they need to eat in terms of total calories for the day to maintain their weight. So if you want to lose weight, we obviously need to cut that. To give you some idea of what I do, most of the clients that I see may be eating maybe 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day to maintain their weight. What I do is I cut their calories by about 500 to start with. And then we have to make sure that each meal is balanced. Now, I'm going to work you through the principles that we use. Now, if it's sounding like it's going to be a bit too overwhelming for you, then what I suggest is you contact me and you get all the answers through a done-for-you meal program. So what I will do is prepare for you a 7-day-a-week, 6-meal-a-day meal plan that divides your 6 meals out and will tell you exactly what to eat and how much to eat, down to the last gram, so it takes all the guesswork out of it. But if you want to do that, then just jump onto the website and you can get in touch with me. Now, what I'll walk you through is the common principles that we use when I'm building a meal plan so that you can try and do this for yourself. First thing you need to do is calculate the number of calories that you require to maintain your body weight. Now, how do you do that? Well, the internet's a great tool these days, and basically if you Google something like how many calories do I need or something like that, you'll be brought up with a whole plethora of different websites that you can go to determine how many calories you need. One of the tools that I often use is this one here. All my clients get this little book, and if you have a look through that, you'll see it gives you some guide as to how many calories that you need to maintain your weight. But what often is easier these days, if you jump on the internet, you'll find a site, you can put in your age, your height, your weight, what your goal weight is and so forth, and it will give you an approximation for how many calories it is that you need to achieve your goal. The second objective that we need to achieve is then say, okay, we now know a number, and let's for simplicity's sake say that it's 1,800 calories. What you then need to do is divide your day, your 6 meals, up to equal a total of 1,800 calories. So to keep it simple, that could be 300 for your breakfast, lunch and dinner, and also your snacks. In reality, what we like to do is make your breakfast, lunch and dinners a little bit higher in calories and your snacks slightly less in calories, okay? So you might be having, say, 400 calories for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then maybe 150 or so or less for your snacks. The next point, we need to take those number of calories and work out, so what percentage of protein, carbs and fats do I need for each of those meals? Now again, this can be a little bit confusing. There's a number of free tools out there probably that you could search for to find. Again, I can take all the guesswork out for you, but to give you some idea, the way I work with all my meal plans is basically, I think in terms of percentage, 50% of the total day would be made up of carbohydrates, 30% would be made up of protein, and about 20% would be made up of fats. So all our calories are made up of protein, carbs and fats. If you remember that formula, that will put you in good stead to make it a sustainable plan. High protein diets will work, but they're not sustainable because they cut your carbohydrates down too low and they will leave you without energy. So this is a plan for the long term. The next thing to do is then work out, well, what sort of food should I be eating? So what I find is most people know, well, I shouldn't be eating junk food every day or takeaway every day, and I need to be eating more fruit and veggies and some meats and so forth, but you know, what is it? So let me just quickly run you through what the different sources of food are. I like to get people to think in terms of their protein sources first. So protein comes in the form of egg whites, also the egg yolk, but we have to be careful with the egg yolks because they contain cholesterol. Egg whites are terrific, high in protein. Things like chicken, turkey, red meat, probably not lamb. Lamb is a fattier meat, but things like your red meat, your leaner cuts of it, your fish, those kinds of things are great sources of protein. In terms of your carbohydrates, we like to think in terms of complex carbohydrates to give you energy. So there I want you to think in terms of rices. So again, starting at the one that's better for you is probably your wholemeal rice, your brown rice. Then you've got your things like your longer grain rices are probably better than your shorter grain. So like your basmati rice or long grain white rice are good. Then you've got your things like your potatoes, your rolled oats. Those things are good energy sources of food. Then we're into our fruit and veg, and basically you can eat, you know, the more the merrier, I say. The more colourful you can make your plate look with your vegetables, then you're doing a good job. And then you've got your things like your leafy stuff like lettuce and those kinds of things, which are really good for fibre. In terms of your fruits as well, pretty much all the fruits are good. The common ones I stick to are things like your grapefruits, your citrusy stuff like oranges, mandarins, apples, bananas, peaches, the strawberries, they're all good things. The next thing to walk through is portion size. Now this can be a big issue for people, just not knowing, well, how much should I have? And unless you go through the exercise of counting your calories, working out how many you need, and then weighing things out to say, well, gosh, is that how much it is? You need to get your perspective on what things should look like that you should be eating. So for instance, if you go out and have a pub meal, for instance, you might have a piece of chicken that's this big, when in actual fact you should be eating something that's maybe that big. So once you've got the number of calories that you need, what I tell my clients to do is for the first week or 2 weeks, you really need to weigh things. So a digital set of food scales is essential. All the food plans that I put together for people will be as specific as 184 grams of broccoli, so, or half of that, so 92 grams. So you need to weigh it because you might say, oh, well, yeah, that's this much, but until you weigh it, you don't know exactly how much that is. So a great tool there. In terms of metric cups, so this is a cup, this is half a cup. It's great to use those kinds of things so that you can then visualize. And once you've done it, so you might have like a cup of cereal or something, you can say, oh, okay, it's that much. Then in the future, you can just pour it so that you know that, yeah, well, yeah, okay, that's about a cup. The same with your other measures, like you might have like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of peanut butter or something like that. Again, measure it out with your metric spoons, and then after a period of time, you'll know what it looks like, and you can just scoop out approximately that amount. But certainly while you're recalibrating, if you like, you need to go through the process of weighing things so that you know what things look like. Last point I want to make is if I walk you through a typical meal plan that I would put together for a client, that'll give you a good idea of the types of foods to be eating. What we want to do is for our breakfast, lunch, dinner, make sure that we've got a protein source, some complex carbs and some fibre. And for our snacks, they'll either be some fibre and or protein. So let me walk you through a typical day. Breakfast may look like you might have some egg whites, a couple of egg whites. You might have some rolled oats. You might have a piece of fruit, might be an orange or a grapefruit or something like that, and obviously your milk with it. You might have some yogurt. It all comes down to the serving size of these, obviously, but I just want to give you an idea of the foods. A morning tea snack might be an apple. Lunchtime might be like something like a chicken salad, and you might have some croutons in there as well to give you some carbohydrates or a slice of bread. Your afternoon tea might be something like, it could be something like a protein shake. It could be some yogurt. Your evening meal, think of your protein. It could be something like chicken. Complex carbs could be some things like some brown rice or some angel hair pasta, something like that. And then maybe some broccoli or some beans or some veggies. Your evening meal might be something as simple as some popcorn. Now popcorn, I mean not the coloured stuff and not with salt on it, I mean fresh air popped popcorn. And that's a typical day. The art then comes down to, well, how much of each of those that you should have. Now you can go along and work that out for yourself. Again, if you want to take the guesswork out of it, contact me and I can do a done for you meal plan. So that's what I wanted to cover for in this nutrition video. Replay this one, there's a lot of information to get through, but really fundamental that you get this 100% right. If you want some more information, just contact me with the details at the end of this video. Thanks for watching.